You walk into a bar in Muskego, Wisconsin. April 9th, 2025. Wednesday night. 3 men and a woman. They split up. 2 head to the slot machines. The third and the woman start a fight. Voices rising, chairs scraping. Everyone's watching the distraction. One man pulls a black device from his pocket, smaller than a deck of cards. He feeds it into the bill acceptor on the gaming machine. Credits start building. No cash inserted. The machine registers phantom dollars. 5,239 credits at Alpine Lanes. Another 5,032 at the Lodge. 683 at Mugsy. Over $10,000 in fake winnings across 3 locations in one night. The device cost less than $200 to build. The casino security system cost millions, and it failed. If you value documented technology and security history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Fox 6, Milwaukee's investigative reporting published April 14th, 2025, surveillance footage obtained from the Lodge in Muskego showing the device in action, court documents filed in Waukesha County, detailing theft and computer crime charges, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection press releases documenting electromagnetic pulse jammer seizures at the Port of Milwaukee. These aren't promotional sources, these are law enforcement records, courtroom filings, and first-hand surveillance evidence showing exactly how these devices bypass multi-million-dollar security infrastructure. Now back to the information. The men are Eric Nelson and Lamar McCaskill, both from North Carolina. They hit Wisconsin bars with surgical precision, Alpine Lanes bowling alley in Muskego, then Mugsy, then the Lodge. Surveillance cameras catch everything. One man holds the black device against the machine. The bill acceptor lights up. Credits flood the display. The manager at the Lodge, Madeline Johnson, watches it happen. Quote, "So they were feeding the gadget into the bill acceptor and the machine registered as it was adding credits?" End quote. The device mimics the signal pattern of legitimate currency. The machine can't tell the difference. It builds credits. The men click collect. They print the ticket. They scan it at the redemption terminal. Cash dispenses. Real money for phantom bets. They're gone before anyone realizes what happened. West Dallas police find jamming devices in Monterey Goodman's rental vehicle. Another North Carolina connection. 3 men total charged with felony computer crimes in Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County Circuit Court Commissioner Barry Phillips says it's a first. Quote, "I don't think I've seen this charge before, but I've been educated today." End quote. The charge exists because the machines are computers. Tampering with their systems crosses federal and state computer crime statutes. Not just theft, not just fraud, computer intrusion. The same category as hacking bank systems or government networks. Goodman's bond is set at $7,500. Eric Nelson is arrested in Shorewood. Lamar McCaskill is on the run. Police link them to thefts in Kenosha County as well, a coordinated operation spanning multiple Wisconsin counties. Groups from North Carolina hitting bars and small casinos across Milwaukee County and suburban areas. West Dallas police confirm it's a pattern, not isolated incidents, a systematic exploitation of a vulnerability in gaming machine architecture that casinos assumed was secured. The circuit generates high-frequency pulses disrupting the signal between bill validator and processor. Older machines use pulse-counting validators. $1 equals 1 pulse. The validator sends pulses to memory. Memory registers credits. The jammer floods the validator with artificial pulses, hundreds per second. The machine can't distinguish real from fake. Credits accumulate, no cash exchanged. Customs seizes one February 4th, 2022, Port of Milwaukee. Shipment from Hong Kong, manifested as car adapter. Destination, Mosinee, Wisconsin, 175 miles northwest. CBP finds an EMP slot jammer kit inside. LaFonda D. Sutton Burke, Chicago Field Operations Director. Quote, "These devices are dangerous, prohibited by federal law because they interfere with communications, phones, GPS," end quote. FBI Mechanical Engineering Division analyzes it. Holly Smith, Milwaukee Port Director, says these illicit devices keep arriving from foreign locations. Griffin reports 4 incidents since fall 2024. Her mother, Martha Wright, needs towing before Christmas. Her Cadillac won't start. 911 service fails in the area. Ben Levitan, Raleigh cybercrime expert, 30 years telecom industry. Quote, "Patently illegal. FCC would take this extremely seriously," end quote. The jammer creates static across frequency bands, interrupts radio waves, key fobs fail. Emergency communications blocked. Specifications, 36-volt working voltage, 360 megahertz frequency, 85 by 50 by 21 millimeters, 10 watts, dual switches, heat sinks, applicable to slots, roulette, coin machines, paper machines, lottery, European and US machines, 3D games. Claims, penetrate wiring, resistors, capacitors, chips, transistors. Signal interference causes automatic credits. Modern casinos phased out vulnerable validators. Ticket and ticket out systems. Tito. Paper tickets with encrypted barcodes. Solid-state drives instead of magnetic memory. electromagnetic shielding, Faraday cages blocking external fields. Bill validators now use optical scanning, magnetic ink detection, multiple verification layers. Real currency has specific magnetic signatures, paperweight, fiber composition, infrared response, UV fluorescence. Validators check everything simultaneously. A pulse jammer can't replicate that. Best case scenario, machine freezes, error code, technician called, no credits, no phantom winnings, just a broken game and investigation. Cash zones require uninterrupted high-res coverage. American Gaming Association, casino management systems growing 14% by 2029. Surveillance accounts for quarter of market value. Wide dynamic range imaging handles bright neon and dim VIP rooms. Low light sensors. Infrared. IK10 rated housings withstand impact. Encrypted transmission. AI analyzes every pixel for anomalies. Card counting. Chip switching. Dealer collusion. Internal theft. Slot revenue. 80% of casino gaming. Baccarat growing. June 2022, up 237% some markets. Coverage. Slots with consistent mounting. Tables with panoramic heads. 4K over cash trays. Cage, vault, count rooms with dual coverage. Audio where permitted. Entrance identification zones. People counting. Back of house access control. Surveillance room ingress tracked. Doors open trigger cameras. Anti-passback violations detected. Slot systems linked to surveillance. Hopper fills. Door openings. Tilt events synchronized. Table systems provide per-hand metadata. Dealer changes. Chip activity. Anomalies surface for review. Motion sensors. Tamper detection. Intrusion alarms. Unified incident timelines. Operators don't watch random screens. They respond to AI alerts pointing to specific incidents. System searches. Humans investigate. $750,000 in illicit payouts before detection. But the surveillance system catches them. Behavioral analytics flag the pattern. Win rates exceeding statistical norms. Coordinated machine selection across multiple casino visits. Video review shows the same individuals consistently playing machines just before major payouts. Law enforcement arrests them. Court cases follow. The vulnerability gets patched. The algorithms get replaced. The casinos learn. The systems improve. The machines still use older bill validator technology, the very systems that major casinos phased out 15 years ago. Small-scale gambling operations can't afford constant upgrades. They purchase machines secondhand. Maintain them until they break. Don't replace components unless absolutely necessary. The profit margins are too thin. A machine costs thousands. A validator replacement costs hundreds. If the old validator still accepts bills and dispenses tickets, there's no business case for upgrading it to quantum encrypted, blockchain verified, optical magnetic infrared scanning systems with anti-jamming countermeasures. So the machines stay vulnerable. And groups from North Carolina know exactly which establishments still run them. He's seen a lot, but April 9th, 2025 is different. 3 men and a woman enter. 2 go to machines, 1 and the woman start a fight. When the machine goes down after they break it, and Sibler finds out he's coming to investigate, they leave. He says it's the second time he's had a problem with this. Someone else tried to print their own receipt earlier. That attempt failed. This time it actually works. The machine registers over $10,000 in fraudulent credits across his county. Other bar owners report similar patterns. Coordinated teams, distraction tactics, quick exits. Always North Carolina plates on the rental vehicles. Always the same device, signatures in the security footage. The pattern is clear enough that police connect cases across multiple jurisdictions. Kenosha County, Milwaukee County, Waukesha County, Muskego, West Allis, Shorewood. The same crew hitting the same type of vulnerable machines using the same electromagnetic pulse methodology. It's like a door lock that counts footsteps, but doesn't check if the feet belong to authorized personnel. Step once, the lock registers 1 visitor. Step 20 times in rapid succession, the lock registers 20 visitors. The electromagnetic pulse jammer steps thousands of times per second. The validator has no defense mechanism to distinguish between currency-generated pulses and external electromagnetic interference. The validator's job is to count. It counts. The machine's job is to register credits based on validator counts. It registers. No authentication layer, no cryptographic verification, no challenge response protocol, just pulse counting and credit addition. A vulnerability that's obvious in retrospect but wasn't apparent when the validators were designed in the 1980s and 1990s. Back then, generating targeted electromagnetic pulses required expensive laboratory equipment, not something a bar patron could carry in a pocket, not something you could buy on eBay for $59.99 with free shipping. Maximum credits per minute, regardless of pulse frequency. Abnormal pulse pattern detection. If the validator receives more than a certain number of pulses in a certain time window, it assumes malfunction or attack and enters lockout mode. The machine displays an error, requires technician reset, but those upgraded validators cost more. Bars and bowling alleys that bought machines in the late 1990s and early 2000s often still have the original validators. 20-year-old hardware still running, still vulnerable, still accepting external electromagnetic manipulation. The criminals know this. They target establishments based on machine age, drive through parking lots looking for older model gaming terminals, visible through windows. The housing style tells them the machine generation. The generation tells them the validator version. The validator version tells them whether their jammer will work. Someone whose companion creates a distraction at precisely the moment the machine adds credits. Casino surveillance operators are trained to recognize these behavioral tells. Small bars don't have that training, don't have dedicated surveillance staff. The bartender is busy serving drinks. The manager is handling food orders. Nobody's watching the slot machine corner unless something obvious happens. By the time someone notices, the crew is gone. The bar discovers the theft when they reconcile the day's receipts. The machine shows $10,000 paid out. The cash drawer shows no corresponding deposits. The security footage shows the device, but the suspects are already 3 states away, after the money is gone. The real question is why the vulnerability still exists in 2025. Why bars are running machines with exploitable validators decades after the casino industry fixed the problem. The answer is economics. A new gaming machine costs $8,000 to $20,000. A validator upgrade costs $400 to $800 per machine. A small bar might have 3 to 5 machines. That's $2,000 to $4,000 for validator replacements, plus labor for installation, plus downtime while the machines are being serviced. If the bar is averaging $2,000 per month in gaming machine revenue, spending $4,000 on security upgrades means 2 months of zero profit from those machines. Many bars can't afford that. They operate on thin margins. Gaming machines supplement their primary business, selling food and drinks. The machines are a side revenue stream, not the core business. Investing thousands in anti-jamming technology for machines that might generate $15,000 to $20,000 annually doesn't make financial sense, especially when jammer attacks were rare until recently. The North Carolina crews demonstrate that the vulnerability is widely known. The devices are easily accessible. The technique is repeatable. The financial incentives are strong. $10,000 in one night across 3 locations. Minimal risk if you're fast. The bars can't press charges unless they catch you. The surveillance footage shows a device, but not always clear facial identification. Wear a hat and keep your head down. Use rental cars registered to someone else. Pay cash at hotels. Rotate through different crews so no single individual appears in too many incidents. It's a professional operation, not opportunistic petty crime. Systematic exploitation of a documented security flaw for repeated financial gain. The frequency ranges, the pulse patterns, the effective ranges, the power outputs. They share this information with gaming machine manufacturers and state gaming control boards. But information sharing doesn't upgrade the vulnerable validators already installed in thousands of bars across the country. Manufacturers offer retrofit kits, electromagnetic shielding packages that can be installed on older machines, detection systems that alert operators when abnormal electromagnetic activity occurs near a machine. But someone has to purchase them, someone has to install them, someone has to maintain them. And until every vulnerable machine is upgraded, the opportunity remains. The electromagnetic pulse itself is fascinating from a physics perspective. A rapidly changing magnetic field induces an electric field in nearby conductors. That's Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. The jammer circuit uses a transistor to switch current through a coil of wire at high frequency. Each switch creates a pulse. The coil's magnetic field expands and collapses. The changing field induces current in nearby circuits. The validator's sensor circuit is a nearby conductor. The induced current mimics the signals the sensor generates when actual currency passes through. The validator can't distinguish between currency-induced signals and jammer-induced signals. It processes both identically. The result is credit addition without monetary input. The physics is straightforward. The implementation is simple. The effectiveness depends entirely on whether the target machine has countermeasures. Infrared spectral response. Each layer alone potentially defeated. All together create robust defense. Small bars don't need casino-grade systems, but they need something. Electromagnetic shielding, anomaly detection, rate limiting. Those 3 measures stop jammers, raise difficulty significantly. Most criminals move to easier targets. First computer crime charges for slot jamming Milwaukee County. Commissioner Barry Phillips educated today. Tampering with gaming electronics qualifies as computer crime. Unauthorized system access, intentional interference, enhanced penalties. Eric Nelson faces multiple counts. Lamar McCaskill, same charges when caught. Montar Goodman, $7,500 bond. Law enforcement signal. Serious threat. Interstate conspiracy. Federal interest, FCC violations, FBI involvement, CBP interdiction, multi-agency response. Additional from Milwaukee, accumulated over months, multiple crews, shared methodology, organized enterprise, RICO potentially applicable. Exploiting vulnerabilities remains exploitation. Criminal law focuses on intentional violators, intent provable. Defendants carried devices, inserted them, generated false credits, extracted money, departed. Criminal intent demonstrated. Vulnerability existence doesn't negate intent. Gray market operations, continuing attack surface, complete hardware replacement measured in decades. Until then, vulnerability exists. Criminals exploit, law enforcement responds. Some caught, some not. Cycle continues. Subsidized upgrades help. Grants or low-interest loans covering part. Reduces economic barrier, requires public funding. Enhanced penalties, multi-year sentences, significant fines, asset forfeiture, restitution, supply chain disruption, better border interdiction, intelligence sharing, target manufacturing overseas, pressure online marketplaces. Legitimate currency only, published payout rates. Players trust this, operators trust manufacturers, regulators trust operators maintain systems. Trust breaks when $200 jammer defeats $15,000 machine. Fraud undetected until hours later. Players question wins. Operators question security. Regulators question standards. Manufacturers face pressure. Insurance premiums rise. Ecosystem friction. Costs money, time, confidence. Eric Nelson and Lamar McCaskill case becomes test. Significant consequences, maximum charges, serious sentences or minor offenses, minimal time, probation, outcome signal system response, weak signal, light charges, light sentences, criminals see low risk, exploits proliferate, strong signal, heavy charges, substantial prison, deterrence works. Some criminals aren't deterred, confident they won't get caught, desperate. Don't care about consequences, but marginal deterrence works. Some potential criminals dissuaded, stronger penalties, more dissuasion, reduces problem to manageable levels. Software manipulation, firmware exploits, network attacks, server compromises, EMP jammers throwback to physical exploits, modern electronics, cheap components, easy distribution, online tutorials, technology accessibility lowers barriers, no specialized knowledge needed, no lab equipment, no manufacturing, $50 kit from eBay, YouTube video, democratization of exploit tools, challenges, security. Can't rely on obscurity. Must assume widespread knowledge, tool availability, build defenses working even with full attacker information. You can match magnetic signatures, but you can't match UV fluorescence. You can spoof UV response, but you can't replicate infrared spectral characteristics. Each layer by itself is potentially defeated. All layers together create a defense that's stronger than the sum. That's defense in depth, old security principle. Still valid, still necessary. At minimum, electromagnetic shielding around validators, basic anomaly detection, rate limiting on credit addition. Those three measures stop EMP jammer attacks. They're not perfect security, but they raise the difficulty bar significantly, raise it enough that most opportunistic criminals move on to easier targets. Determined criminals with advanced tools might still succeed, but the effort required increases. The time required increases. The exposure risk increases. Most criminals optimize for low effort, low time, low risk, make the attack harder, and they choose different targets. That footage makes prosecution straightforward. Defense attorneys can't argue the crime didn't happen. They can argue their client wasn't the person in the footage. They can argue their client didn't know the device was illegal. They can argue entrapment or coercion, but they can't argue the crime didn't occur. The machine logs support the video. Timestamps match. Credit addition events match. Payout events match. The digital forensics confirm the visual evidence. That combination is nearly impossible to defend against. Jurors see the video, see the machine logs, see the defendant. The conviction probability is high. Innocent people don't usually run. Guilty people often do. McCaskill's eventual capture will likely face that challenge. His attorney will argue flight doesn't prove the underlying charges. The prosecutor will argue flight demonstrates knowledge of criminal liability. The jury will hear both arguments and draw their own conclusions. Statistically, defendants who fled before trial face higher conviction rates than those who remained. Whether that's because guilty defendants are more likely to flee, or because juries are biased by flight behavior, is debatable. Probably some of both. The reasons matter for sentencing, but not necessarily for conviction. If the evidence shows he participated in the scheme, his location during arrest is secondary. The critical questions are, did he use the device? Did he extract money? Did he intend to defraud? If prosecutors prove those elements beyond reasonable doubt, conviction follows regardless of whether he was arrested locally or after fleeing. Montari Goodman's case involves the rental vehicle with jamming devices inside. Possession of the devices isn't necessarily proof of use. Defense could argue he was transporting them for someone else, didn't know what they were, borrowed the car from someone who planted them. Those defenses are weak, but not impossible. Prosecutors will likely tie the device possession to specific incidents. Surveillance footage showing Goodman's vehicle near targeted locations at relevant times. Cell phone records placing him in the area. Witness statements, rental car documents. build a circumstantial case that the devices in his vehicle are the same devices used in the crimes. Circumstantial evidence can be as strong as direct evidence, especially when multiple pieces corroborate each other. The investigation likely extends beyond the immediate defendants. 3 men and a woman. Only 3 men charged so far. Who's the woman? What was her role? Was she a co-conspirator or unwitting participant? Did she know about the device? Did she help plan the distraction? If she was integral to the scheme, she faces charges too. If she was kept ignorant, she might testify against the others. Prosecutors often flip lower-level participants against leaders, offer reduced charges or immunity in exchange for testimony. That strategy works when there's a hierarchy. Leaders who planned the operation, lieutenants who executed, foot soldiers who helped. Going after the leaders requires testimony from the lower levels. Offering deals to foot soldiers to get leaders is standard prosecutorial tactics. The North Carolina connection suggests a larger network. Why are multiple crews from North Carolina targeting Wisconsin? Is there a central organizer, someone recruiting participants, someone providing devices, someone identifying vulnerable targets, someone coordinating logistics? That organizational level is where RICO charges become relevant. If prosecutors can prove an ongoing criminal enterprise with hierarchical structure and continuing criminal activity generating substantial proceeds, they can charge the organization under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. RICO charges carry enhanced penalties, asset forfeiture provisions, civil liability. It's a powerful tool against organized crime, but it requires substantial evidence of organizational structure. If the Wisconsin crews are independent actors who just happen to be from North Carolina, RICO doesn't apply. If they're part of a coordinated network with shared leadership and resources, RICO becomes viable. That determination requires extensive investigation, financial records, communication intercepts, surveillance operations, cooperating witnesses. Building a RICO case takes time and resources, but the potential impact is significant, taking down an entire network versus just prosecuting individual actors. The April 14th, 2025, Fox 6 Milwaukee report brings the story to public attention. Before that, most people don't know EMP jammers exist, don't know slot machines are vulnerable, don't know crews are systematically exploiting the vulnerability. The news coverage educates the public that education has mixed effects. It alerts potential victims to check their security. Bar owners watch the report and call their gaming machine suppliers. What validators do we have? Are we vulnerable? What upgrades are available? That prompts some operators to enhance security. But it also educates potential criminals. People who never heard of EMP jammers now know they exist, know they work on certain machines, know where to buy them, know the technique. Some fraction of those newly educated individuals decide to try it themselves. That's the double edge of security disclosure. Warn the good guys, but also inform the bad guys. The security research community debates disclosure ethics constantly. Full disclosure helps defenders patch quickly, but it also helps attackers exploit faster. Partial disclosure or delayed disclosure might be better, but it also leaves some defenders ignorant of threats they could mitigate. No perfect answer. Most settle on responsible disclosure with reasonable timelines. Notify the vendor, give them time to patch, then publish details. For hardware vulnerabilities in deployed systems, that timeline stretches. Can't patch 20-year-old machines remotely, can't force upgrades quickly. So disclosure might prompt criminal exploitation before defenses are deployed. That tension remains unresolved. Machines and gray market operations. All of those represent continuing attack surfaces. The only permanent solution is complete replacement of vulnerable hardware. That won't happen overnight, won't happen in 1 year, probably won't happen in 5 years. The gradual phase-out will be measured in decades as machines reach end of life and get replaced with modern hardware. Until then, the vulnerability exists. Criminals will exploit it. Law enforcement will respond. Some will get caught, some won't. The cycle continues. Hundreds of millions per large property. So yes, a sub-$300 device can theoretically defeat a multi-million-dollar system, but only if the system has vulnerable components. Modern integrated casino security with upgraded validators, electromagnetic shielding, multi-layer verification, AI surveillance, real-time monitoring, and rapid response protocols, that system is not defeated by a pocket jammer. The jammer causes a machine malfunction. The surveillance system detects the anomaly. Security responds before the attack succeeds. So the framing is accurate for legacy systems, not accurate for modern systems. The Wisconsin bar machines are legacy systems. Major casino systems are modern. The distinction matters. It's why the North Carolina crews target bars and bowling alleys, not Bellagio. They know where the vulnerability exists. They optimize their operations accordingly. That's rational criminal behavior. Exploit the soft targets. Avoid the hard targets. The arms race never stops. But the basic EMP jammer threat to modern casinos is largely mitigated. They've moved past that vulnerability. The soft targets haven't. That's the story. Not that billion-dollar systems are defeated. But that million-dollar legacy systems and small operations remain vulnerable, and criminals know it and exploit it, and will continue exploiting it until those systems get upgraded or replaced. That's the ground truth as of April 2025 in Wisconsin. The ripple effect spreads through Milwaukee and Waukesha counties. Bar owners talk to each other. They hear about the jammer attacks. They assess their own vulnerabilities. Some upgrade immediately. Some plan upgrades for next quarter. Some decide to wait and see. Human nature. Some react proactively. Some react after being victimized. Some never react until forced. The distribution of responses creates the ongoing vulnerability landscape. Enough upgraded systems and the criminals move to different territories, different states, different types of targets. They adapt. As defenses improve in one area, attacks shift to areas with weaker defenses. Geographic arbitrage of security vulnerabilities. State gaming control boards mandating upgrades by specific dates. All operators in the state must comply. Creates a hard cutoff. Before the deadline, attacks possible. After the deadline, attacks fail. The criminals either give up or move to states without mandates. Eventually, enough states mandate upgrades that the vulnerability becomes too rare to exploit profitably. The crime becomes too difficult, too risky, too low reward. The criminals move on to different crime types. That's how security problems get solved at scale, not individual operators defending individual machines, but regulatory frameworks creating baseline security standards enforced uniformly. That's what happened with credit card chip readers. Magnetic stripe cards were vulnerable to skimming. Chip cards are much harder to clone. The US mandated liability shift. Merchants without chip readers assumed fraud liability. That forced rapid adoption. Within a few years, chip readers were ubiquitous. Skimming attacks plummeted. The same model could work for gaming machine validators. Mandate upgraded hardware by deadline. After deadline, operators without upgrades assume all fraud liability. That shifts the cost-benefit calculation. Suddenly, the upgrade cost is cheaper than the liability exposure. Operators upgrade. Vulnerability gets closed. Market forces plus regulatory requirements drive security improvements faster than voluntary adoption. Request mandate authority. Get enabling statutes passed. Promulgate regulations. Set deadlines. Enforce compliance. The process takes years, but produces systemic change. That's likely the long-term outcome of the April 2025 incidents, not just individual prosecutions, but regulatory response that prevents recurrence. That's how isolated criminal cases drive policy changes that improve security across entire sectors. The final scene returns to April 9th in Muskego. 3 men and a woman walk into a bar. 2 go to machines. Device inserted. Credits accumulate. Redemption executed. Cash collected. Departure. Total time, minutes. Total take, $10,954 across 3 locations. Total investment, device cost, travel expenses, maybe $1,000. Return on investment, over 10 to 1. Risk, manageable if you're fast. That's the calculation that drove the crime. Fast money, low barriers, vulnerable targets, manageable risk, repeat until caught, then face legal consequences. But by then you've made tens of thousands or more. Even with convictions and prison time, the financial math might still favor the crime for someone with limited legal earning prospects. That's the harsh economic reality underlying technical vulnerabilities. Security isn't just about technology. It's about incentives, economics, risk-reward calculations. Changing those calculations requires changing the technology, changing the penalties, changing the enforcement probability, or changing the economic opportunities available to potential criminals. All of those are hard, none happen quickly, but all are necessary for lasting solutions. 85 by 50 by 21 millimeters, weighs maybe 200 grams, runs on 36 volts, operates at 360 megahertz, 10 watts power output, internal heatsink, temperature protection, dual power switches, external antenna port. Instruction manual included in the original packaging from Hong Kong. The FBI's Mechanical Engineering Division has already photographed it, X-rayed it, disassembled it, documented the circuit design, tested its frequency output, measured its effective range, verified its function. The analysis confirms what the surveillance footage showed. The device generates electromagnetic pulses that trigger pulse-counting bill validators to register false credits. It works exactly as advertised. That documentation becomes prosecution evidence. Expert testimony from FBI engineers explaining how the device functions, how it interacts with gaming machine electronics, why the machine registered credits without monetary input. The jury doesn't need to understand electromagnetic theory. They just need to understand device generates signals, machine treats signals as money, credits appear without money, defendants take money that isn't theirs. That's theft by deception, that's computer fraud, that's criminal. The device and evidence proves the mechanism. The surveillance footage proves the action. The machine logs prove the result. The testimony proves the intent. The pieces fit together. The conviction probability approaches certainty. And somewhere in North Carolina, someone else is ordering an EMP jammer kit from an overseas supplier. Someone else is researching vulnerable gaming machine locations. Someone else is planning their own exploitation run, because the vulnerability still exists. The devices are still available, the financial incentives remain, and until something fundamental changes in that equation, the cycle continues. Could be under 5%, could be under 1%. For every jammer CBP catches, 9 or 19 or 99 make it through. Those devices are in someone's possession, being used or waiting to be used, sitting in drawers, listed on secondary markets, passed between users. Each one represents potential fraud, potential theft, potential criminal activity. The scale of the problem exceeds what public reporting captures. The Wisconsin cases are the visible portion. How many unreported incidents? How many bars that discovered losses but didn't report to police? How many operators who didn't notice because their reconciliation processes are loose? How many successful exploits that haven't been connected to the jammer technique? The dark figure of crime applies here. What we see is less than what exists, probably significantly less. That hidden scale is why regulatory response matters more than individual prosecutions. Can't prosecute every crime, can't catch every criminal, but can change the systems that enable the crimes, can upgrade the vulnerable technology, can close the exploits, can make the crime impractical or impossible. That's the lasting solution, not perfect, but better than the current state. Better than letting legacy vulnerabilities persist indefinitely while hoping criminals don't notice or don't care. They notice, they care, they exploit. That's what criminals do. Security has to respond. That response is starting now in spring 2025, in courtrooms in Wisconsin, in gaming board meetings, in bar owner associations, in manufacturer engineering departments. The homemade jammer that blocked billion-dollar casino alarm systems isn't blocking them anymore, but it did, for too long. And that time lag between vulnerability discovery and vulnerability closure cost money, cost trust, cost security. Learning that lesson, applying it faster next time, that's progress. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless.